live. Welcome to a very special edition of our PCS Q&A. I am your host, MJ Boyce. I am the Director of Community Outreach at PCS Grades. Boom, boom. With me, as always, is the lovely Megan Harless, our resident PCS reform advocate and resident BA censored for little ears in your room because we love you. Again, we have a fantastical episode today, and please share with your friends. It is our 50th episode. Woo! That was interesting. See, somebody's trying to party in the background without us. Yes, we have some amazing prizes to give away. We have some awesome resources that Megan's going to go over. We have a huge pre-pack PCS prep box. We've got a $50 Amazon gift card. We've got a $50 commissary gift card. We've got 3 of those awesome zip tote things that are just going to rock your world during your PCS. And of course, as always, we've got our Hope Design blanket. But before we get to Megan and those DoD updates, we're going to go over those housekeeping items as we do every week. And I'll have a special surprise on the back end for you as well. Without further ado, here we go. Okay, folks, we've got the answers. And if we don't have the answers, we know who does. And if we don't know either of those things, we're going to take your questions for action and get back to you with an answer. Speaking of questions, any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and leave those in the comment section below. And we would be happy to engage, because here's the thing. The more you engage, the more times you comment and you ask questions and you provide suggestions and say those concerns, the more entries that you have to win one of the products that we named earlier. LOL smiley faces are absolutely encouraged, but unfortunately don't count towards an entry, people. All right, next up, we bring in those experts from Transcom to military movers to military industry professionals, all the way to education experts and mil-spouse employment advocates. We bring them to you because they are the source and you get to ask them questions in real time. But sometimes you're going to have an issue that is specific to you and your military family when regarding your PCS. And in that instance, your 2 resources will forever and always be, number 1, your local chain of command. Number 2, your local transportation office. Those are the people who know you. Those are the people who are dealing with your stuff. Those are the people who could take your issues and actually further them for action. Next up, we're adding a little something to the housekeeping items because we don't really talk about PCS grades. I mean, we've got the logos, we've got the bling, and obviously you're here, so you know about us. But did you know that PCS grades, you can grade your PCS? We are like the Angie's List of PCSing. You can head over to PCSgrades.com and review your on-base housing, your off-base housing, your movers, your lenders, a school, so much more. We have area guides. We have BAH calculators. We have blog articles written by and for military families living this life, people. We trust them because they're living our lives. They face the same challenges. So obviously, they're probably going to know a resource that you'll use too. So head on over to PCSgrades.com. Sign up, leave a review about your housing, whether that's good, bad, or ugly. The more you're doing that, the more you're helping military families coming to your area next. All right. Last, but certainly not least, we have to continue to do our part, people. We've got to flatten that curve. We have got to flatten that curve. Wear your mask, social distance, whatever it takes, because when we flatten that curve, we're going to flatten Murphy with it. You hear us, Murphy? We are coming for you. Now, before we get to Megan and those DoD updates, I would like to introduce the founder and CEO of PCS Grades, Mr. Todd Ernst. He wanted to come give you guys a shout out today. So here he is.
Hey, y'all. Darn it, MJ, thank you. Guys, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I did want to take a moment to sum up, really kind of my feelings on this whole last year of webinars. And I was thinking if I had to sum it up in one word, I mean, really that word would just be thankful. I'm truly thankful, first and foremost to MJ and to Megan, because they really just took this on head first and really out of necessity. Is why it was started. But these 2 ladies and then someone you don't see who's behind the scenes, Stacy Benson, helping to produce the show. I couldn't be any more thankful to y'all. And then thankful for the success that we're having. We certainly are bringing in a lot of folks. I think we're helping a lot of folks. I know there's a lot of organizations that are very interested in what we're doing and the word that we're putting out there. So you guys are doing it right. I'm blown away. I'm blown away at how far we've grown, how far we've come. And I just want to say, guys, there's so much more that we can and that we plan on doing. So stand by for even more. And other than that, MJ, Megan, take it away. You guys rock. Go get them.
Thank you so very much, Todd. And just a little FYI, we've got some shout outs for you as well. Apparently, you have fans in this audience. So shout out from Paulette. And then we've got Sebra. Nice to meet you, Todd.
Nice. Thanks, y'all. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So thank you so much for joining us. And you'll definitely see the love once this is over and you replay it, because everybody likes to watch themselves later. Okay. On to the business of Megan's DoD updates. Take it away, Megan.
Hey, everybody. So one thing we're going to talk about today is something we've all heard about over the past week, is the Suez Canal and the Evergreen, the ship that was stuck there and blocking the waterway. So you should hear by now that the ship has been refloated. It is moved. It is out of the way. Shipping is happening again through that waterway. So a lot of folks were concerned about, how does this impact my household goods shipment for an Oconus move? Everyone was thinking everything's going to be delayed. But the truth is, not many are really being delayed because of that backup. Very few shipments actually go through the Suez Canal as far as household goods shipments go. So first thing to know about is any Oconus shipment, any military household goods shipment has to go on a U.S. flagged vessel. And those vessels typically stick to the Atlantic and Pacific trade routes. Now, if you are being stationed somewhere like Bahrain, like our guest last week, Lindsay, is currently living there. So those shipments do have to go through the Suez Canal. If you're in the CENTCOM area, it is going to go through the Suez Canal. Any shipments that were impacted by that blockage, those folks should be receiving a notification from their TSP if they haven't already, if there is a delay. But just understand, if you're going from Washington State and you're PCSing to Germany, your shipment is going to be shipped across the United States to an East Coast port and then put on a boat across the Atlantic. If you're going from New York to Korea, your shipment, again, is going to go across the United States and ship from a West Coast port over to Korea. So it's not getting on a boat in New York and going, 3/4 of the way around the world type of deal. The goal is the shortest distance possible and the most direct line of shipment. So a lot of those shipments will go across the United States to a respective port and then across the Atlantic or Pacific respectively. So relax, not every shipment is backed up from the Suez Canal. So just a little update about that, but it's open, it's free, and shipping is happening again. So that's all I got for now. So back to you, MJ.
Awesome. Thank you for those DoD updates. And just for the record, people, Megan goes down that policy rabbit hole for us so we don't have to. She is able to work with me to break it down Barney style for the peeps who kind of need it. Again, like me. All right. Now we're going to dive right in. Because this is our 50th episode and because peak PCS season is right around the corner, this is all things pre-pack and prep before your move. This is probably one of the most crucial times. This is going to set the tone for how your PCS process progresses. Say that 3 times fast. So let's just kick it off. And by the way, I'm loving this engagement. You all are awesome. And any questions, comments, or concerns that you have, if we don't get through them in progress, we will definitely hit it up at the back end. And I'm loving this. There's going to be so many entries. We're going to have the biggest wheel ever. Now, on to business. So we touched a little bit in previous webinars on this, but when you get your orders and then you get your move set up, on move.mil, what are you doing next? Like absolute next step.
So after we get our orders, we get our move set up, obviously. So the next thing that I am personally doing, besides researching our area, trying to figure out our housing, trying to figure out where we're going to live, where my kids are going to go to school, I am working on my home. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm updating my personal inventory. And I highly suggest that everybody has their own personal inventory of what they own. Number one, it lets you know what you have. Number two, should for some reason you have a catastrophic loss, whether it's from your household goods being shipped and mold or a fire, or it could be, from natural disaster in your home. If there's a tornado or hurricane, having your own inventory of what you have can be used in those claim process. Because you're going to have to provide them an itemized list of what you had with the value. So if you already have that inventory, that's makes the claims process that much easier. So I'm updating my inventory. If we recently got rid of anything, if we recently purchased anything, making sure all of my high value items are on my personal inventory appropriately, all those different types of things. The next thing that I am doing besides the inventory is I am updating my PCS binder. So I'm pulling out my magical binder of PCSing, and I'm pulling out anything in there that I no longer need. So old orders, I'm pulling those out. Old hotel reservations are getting pulled out. What else do I have in there? Any other copies of medical records or school records, any leftover inventory forms from our last PCS, that's all getting pulled out of there, and that information is getting updated. And I'm going through my checklist again to make sure, did we add any pets, to get their vet records, making sure, do we need to get school records, medical records? Do we have, my son is now in braces, so now I need to add orthodontist records to my list, and not just dentist records. So I'm going through that inventory, I'm going through updating my binder, and I'm going through my checklist to make sure that I've got all that information that I need.
Got you. And we did have a question from Courtney Smith. Shout out, Courtney. Do you list every little item?
So this is kind of specific to you and what it is you have. So for us, we have an extensive book collection. I do on my list have every book listed there. I have the book title, the author, and the date it was published. And if it's a volume or an edition, all that information is there. I have an extensive Polish pottery and China collection. All of that information is listed there. Now, when I get to my clothing, I'm not listing, purple shirt from New York and company size, large button down. I'm not listing every single shirt. Now, I may take my name brand clothing, top high end clothing, and I may list those things by item on there. But then you can do some general stuff, like 10 pairs of jeans. If they're all the same brand, you can list that. If they're all the same size, 10 Levi jeans size 8 kind of deal. So it's kind of up to you as to how detail oriented you want to get, but at least having an idea of what it is you own will come in handy in case you do need it. All
right. Good answer. I got to say, I kind of wish I was a little bit more thorough-ish because, I'm just one of those people, and I've already had my hand smacked by Megan people. I have left boxes unpacked, unopened in my garage through several PCSs, and that was not okay because anything broken there, I can't hold anybody responsible except for this girl right here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's get on with the next question, because we do have a lot of engagement, and I'm seeing your questions roll in. We're going to definitely get to them just in case we end up answering them with the ones we've pre-prepared. So after your inventory, updating your PCS binder, doing your PCS purge, you begin that pre-packing. Okay, why do you pre-pack? Why do you pre-pack? And specifically because it doesn't, isn't that a thing? Aren't they supposed to do that? Why do we pre-pack?
So yes. So your movers will come and they will pack your home for you and transport it. If you have the military contract to come do your move. I pre-pack, and I want to make sure we specify here, I'm not setting up a new cardboard box and I am not packing that box full of things. What I mean by pre-pack is I'm just prepping my home, and we're going to go through some of those things and what that looks like here in the next couple of questions. But pre-packing, what we're going to discuss today, for me, is basically just kind of prepping my home for the packers. things that I want to do to make sure that, you know, I don't want strangers' hands touching my clothing. You know, so I put those in these flex totes we're going to talk about. You know, I want to make sure I don't have to rewash my silverware and I don't have to rewash my entire kitchen as soon as we arrive. So I put things into bags so that way they're protected, they're clean, they stay together. You know, it helps make the packing process easier when you pre-pack, because then they can easily pick up whatever you pre-packed and put it into the box. And then when you are unpacking, you can easily open up the box, pull out your pre-packed items, and then you can get that paper and that cardboard box out of your home and out of the way. So it just kind of helps to make that process of packing and unpacking easier. Again, also allows you the ability to see what you have. So if you are working on updating that inventory, it allows you to see, oh, you know, I don't think this is on my inventory. I should go double check. Pre-packing also gives you the way that, you know, you think you did a really good PCS purge, which is where, you know, just a really good spring cleaning of your home to get rid of what doesn't need to be used type of deal. But while you're pre-packing, maybe you find some other things and you think, I really don't need these things anymore. You know, they've been in this box in the bottom of the closet for the last year and a half, 2 years. We can probably go ahead and get rid of them. So pre-packing is just a way to kind of prep your home for the packing.
Okay, and that makes sense. Valerie actually had a question. Shout out, Valerie. What do you do with the records that you pull from your PCS binder when you're prepping for a new PCS? Do you keep it for a certain length of time? Do you shred it? What do we do?
So for me personally, I shred them. Now for your inventories, I may keep them through the PCS just in case I need to like go back and look at something, you know, to see how it's labeled before, double check weights or anything like that. But everything else, I generally shred. Any inventories. Now, my family, knock on wood, has never been over our weight allowance yet. But if we were ever over our weight allowance, I would keep my inventories and all of my information and paperwork from the moving company and from that PCS until we either got the bill for the move or we got it all sorted out to figure out the payment type of deal. But generally, if it's nothing of value to me anymore and I've got other copies of it, you know, you can scan it on your computer, shred it, get it out. Paper adds up, people. It's one thing. I mean, when you sit down and you start purging, you don't realize how many pieces of paper of different things you have, either records, bills, old letter, whatever it may be. There is so much paper and it adds up in weight. So if you have the ability to scan things in, shred it, it will definitely help your weight some. Some things you may want to keep the hard copy of, you know, scan it for a safety reason, but maybe keep the hard copy of it too, as a just in case kind of deal. Many of us have children and we have all of their artwork, and I mean, that weight adds up. So, you know, maybe save it, give it to grandparents type of deal, make them be the ones to throw it away later, you know, or again, scan it and create them a little photo book of it later, something that takes up less space than you have.
Got you. And then Cynthia, shout out Cynthia, happens to be a friend of ours. What's up, girl? Miss you. If we have boxes for electronics and want them back in the same box, do we allow the movers to pack that, or can we pack them and still hold them liable if they're broken?
So the current regulations is that the company is responsible for anything they take possession of, regardless of who packed it. So you can still pack it. So what we do is we have gaming systems. And so we still have those original boxes that we will pack the game systems into. So we generally leave the game systems out so that way they can see that we have the game systems, write the serial numbers onto the inventory, make sure all that good stuff gets done. And then either myself or my husband will generally, while they're packing up the living room after they've seen those and got it on the inventory, then we are then packing them up ourselves to go into the box. We have them on our high value inventory as well. Make sure that all gets noted appropriately.
Awesome. You know, I'm just seeing all of this engagement and I'm so excited. Especially I'm excited about the fact that a lot of you are helping each other while this is going on, while Megan is answering your questions. That is key because military families take care of each other. That's part of what PCS grades is. All right, next question. And this is a big one because this is personal to me. Let's start with that whole kitchen place. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we pre-pack our kitchens?
I've got a couple of things here for you that we're going to talk about. So the first one is, let's talk our steak knife block. A lot of times, in my experience, those have not been what I would deem wrapped, packed appropriately. You're unpacking it, hoping your knives don't fall out, depending on what kind of block you have. Some of them have really good safety measures. Some of them do not. But the worst thing in the world is trying to unpack a steak knife block and like knives are falling out and you're like doing a hoppity dance. So my favorite thing to use is you get some press and seal and you wrap your knife block in it, and it holds your knives in place so they're not falling out when you're unpacking it. I also will take this, and so your silverware, we all have a silverware tray divider thing probably, I'm assuming here. So for our silverware tray, either I will take the silverware out and put it into bags, like Ziploc bags, or I will take my entire silverware tray and I will wrap it in press and seal, because it keeps it together. And when we get to the other end, I can just rip off the press and seal, stick it in, and it's all together, and it saves time trying to sort out your spoons and your forks and your knives and all that stuff. Now, if your stuff gets jumbled and you got little kids, it's a great sorting thing for them to do, and occupies them while you're trying to unpack the rest of your house. So press and seal works for a lot of things. If you've got canisters and you want to keep the lids on, you've got, canisters with flour or whatever, wrap it in press and seal, keeps it all together. The next thing that I use, you will find I'm a big fan of bags. I bag a lot of things. Our kitchen utensils, the long, like spatulas, serving spoons, those things.
Just by the way, those things that my husband and I, shout out Boo, have copious amounts of.
Yes. Which is why it's a good thing to do at your PCS purge, because we all have a favorite spatula we reach for. We all have a favorite serving spoon we reach for. So having 12 spatulas because you got invited to a Pamper Chef party and you only used 2 of them, like, it's a time to go ahead and purge some of those spatulas. But the Hefty or Ziploc brand, these are the 2.5 gallon bags, but the larger bags will fit those things. So you put them all in here and zip it up. And again, they're all together. They stay clean. You don't have to throw them just into the dishwasher as soon as you arrive, kind of deal. So put them in a bag. We all got other little kitchen gadgets. We have like a drawer full of like mini spatulas and a meat thermometer and like little mini serving spoons and things. Toss it all into a bag. Again, because then you're not going through the paper, the 20 million pounds of paper, trying to find your half cup measuring cup. It's all together in a bag, keeps it nice and organized, keeps it together, keeps it clean. So really, again, we all have a junk drawer probably in our kitchen somewhere. Bag it up, because the worst thing to do is trying to, dig all that little stuff out. And onto the paper and onto the bottom of the box, and there's a random something stuck in there. Just go ahead, bag it up. It makes it so much easier.
Makes sense. We did have a question, and I don't think that any of the questions that we have would address it. This question comes to us from Melissa. Shout out, Melissa. Any advice on how to prepare a clothing washer to prevent mold? The last 2 PCSs, our washers grew mold and couldn't be revived. We stopped washing 1 week before packing out and dried them out. What can they do?
So you did everything right. My next suggestion would be to get some silica packs. And on Amazon, I'll drop the link here in the comments for you, but on Amazon, you can get big silica packs. Drop a couple of those into your washer and dryer, because any moisture that may be left in there for whatever reason, that silica pack will attract it, and it will help prevent should help prevent your washer from molding again.
Good answer. I never would have thought about that. I mean, like, I used to wonder what that was. I always used to think it was like a bonus prize. Obviously, that's why there's parental warnings on all things.
It's not a bag of salt, kids. Like, that's what my kids thought the first time. Like, they realized, they're just like, oh, they sent us a bag of salt. I'm just like, no, let's go throw that away, please.
Oh, yes. Okay. The next one is moving on to that office area. Okay. how is it that you're packing there? Because a lot of people have, they have their expensive printers and the peripheral computer stuff. If you're like my husband, he's got like a mega desk, just like Dwight Schrute in The Office. Yes, I'm a fan. It's huge and it's got all these gadgets and gurus and wires. What about The Office? How do we do that? How do we pre-pack?
Again, you're going to bag a lot of stuff. We got a little theme going here, y'all, is that we're going to be bagging things. The worst thing is to try, unpack your rolling paper and suddenly your 1,000 paper clips go all over and eventually get to the point where you're just like, I don't care anymore. And your paper clips are staying in the bottom of the box. Take the time to bag them up. Markers, colored pencils, pens can go into a gallon bag. I think my kids took it away somewhere. We've got several gallon bags still with markers in them, and my kids just leave them in there. And when they need to color or do a project, they just grab the bag and go. So bag it up. If you've got, all those little things, staples, paper clips, those little knick-knack thingies, again, put those all in a bag. You got a million cords happening around your desk, from ring lights, other lamps, computers, whatever it may be. I like taking those little cord label thingies. They're different colors and they're all different styles, where you can wrap them around like the end of the cord type of deal. Get some of those. I'll drop some links to them here in the comments, but put one on each end of your cord, so that way when you plug it up where the other red end is going into. So put those on there so you can easily identify what they're going to. Some of them have it where you can even write on the cord marker like what it goes to, so you're not at the other end trying to figure out what in the world does this cord go to. We all probably have a bag full of cords somewhere, or a plastic tub full of random cords somewhere, because it might go to something. If you've got a tub of cords, folks, that you haven't used this PCS, this is your permission to go ahead and Goodwill it and get rid of it. That is 10 pounds you don't need, and you probably no longer have the electronic or device it goes to. So just go ahead. It's okay if your husband says we may need it. You don't. Go get rid of it. But that way you know what it goes to. And then the next thing is get some of those little like twisty ties from like bread bags. You can use zip ties if you want. Wrap them up good. Secure them with the twisty ties or the zip ties. And then put all those cords into a bag. So that way they're all together and they're all secured.
Okay, so it's about condensing, and yes. So yeah. I thought this comment was funny. Sarah Rod, shout out. A waterfall of paper clips and push pins is the worst. And I can kind of like, we're going to get to kids stuff here in a minute, but let's talk Barbie shoes. Okay, my daughter is 22 years old and I stepped on one of her old Barbie shoes. Okay, not cool. Now, had she done what Megan says to do in condensing all of that stuff, I probably wouldn't have had that problem. I wouldn't have cursed out loud, and my daughter would have been like, I didn't even know I still had that. Yeah, so that's a thing. So shout out Sarah, because that was kind of comical. That's what I thought of.
Worst. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we should make a hashtag of purge the cords.
I think purge the cords.
Danielle, shout out Danielle. Yes, purge the cords. Hashtag purge the cords. If any of you are sharing this right now with anybody, make sure you use the hashtag purge the cords, because that alone would make me want to see what the heck was going on.
Yeah. We moved into our current home. We've been here since 2019. We're going to be PCSing again next summer. We were one of those people. We had like one of those, I don't know, mini-ish tubs of random cords, and I was fine, babe, what do these go to? And he didn't know, I didn't know, and I was just like, if we don't know, like, and I know we did not use that tub at our last home in Virginia. I was just like, okay, and I walked it over to our donation pile, and I was like, somebody somewhere is looking for one of these, and it went off, and we are 10 pounds lighter because we got rid of the cord box. So again, if you need permission to get rid of the cord box, you can just tell your spouse, tell whoever, Megan said I can get rid of this, and go and do it.
Hashtag Megan said.
Yes.
I just love coming up with hashtags. This is like my favorite part about doing this webinar, because we get a little shenanigan-ish. Okay, that's like my jam. And Megan is she's my equal on this one. So we just love it. We just love doing this. Hashtag Megan said so.
Yes.
Quick question from Krista Curtis. Shout out, Krista. If your stuff isn't crated, it likely didn't make the transfer from one trip to another, or if the shipment was split between two trucks with another person's stuff, they likely have your shelves. Not sure how that goes these days, but requesting a solo truck and crating. And I want to say that was in reference to Arlene's comment, because she actually ended up, I'm finding it, Arlene. Or I'm sorry, not Arlene, cheese and rice, Renee. There. Mm-hmm. See, I'm just all out of it. We had 2 bookcases we moved, and they both showed up without any actual shelves. Not sure how to avoid having that happen. And so that's probably the answer. I'm really loving that you guys are helping each other out. But like, how does that even happen, Megan?
So, yeah, the same thing as what she said. I mean, if for some reason, if you either don't fill a truck completely, you may end up truck sharing. And sometimes so if you do have to truck share, folks, the standard is that your mattresses should generally be the last things on the truck, and they should be using your mattresses as a way to kind of like build a wall to kind of separate where the end of your shipment is and where the next one would begin, kind of deal. So if you truck share and stuff has to get mixed around, like, they could accidentally get shifted from one to the other. If you're going into storage, that could happen too. Another thing that could happen is that your shelves got wrapped, but they didn't get labeled with an inventory number or the GBL number or your last name or something, because movers think, oh, this is all going to stay together type of deal. And so people don't know where they go to. If you're in storage, they don't know which shipment it goes to. They're unloading stuff. They're not sure which shipment it goes to, and so that can kind of happen, which is another good point to make sure that everything is labeled on your inventory. So if they have to disassemble something like your bookshelves, and you've got the shelf frame, and then you've got like a stack of shelves and they're all wrapped together type of deal, make sure on the inventory you have a line that says shelf frame, and then the other one that says shelves to inventory number 142 or whatever.
Word. Okay, let's talk about bedrooms and closets. Is there anything that you do for your clothes? And kind of what about shoes? I just want to pause before you answer, because I need you all to know this right now. If you know nothing else, besides the fact that Megan is a PCS reform advocate, I need you to know she is a shoe addict. I have seen her travel with an entire suitcase of shoes. And it's amazing because she can Tetris the heck out of it. So in these instances, when it comes to bedrooms and closets and shoes, what do we do?
Yes. So a girl needs options. So I have shoes. So generally your shoes are kind of okay. Again, you could use, like, if you have a bunch of flats, you probably use the big 2.5 gallon bags again to put like your flats in, keep them together, keep your pairs together type of deal. Some people will go out and buy, like, if you have some nice tennis shoes or some nice heels, some people will go out and buy actual like shoe storage bags, like the dust bags, to put them in to keep the pairs together. Now for your boots, I want to show you this chart because this is probably one of my favorite things. So we are going into summer right now. Pool noodles are everywhere. Okay. So.
Okay. Just to preface this, she's in Texas. Okay.
I am in Texas. Yeah. So, but I also love boots. I want to show you a couple of my boots. But I have different kinds of boots, but of course in Texas, here is one of my cowboy boots that I've had for several years. Now, why do you need a pool noodle? Because your pool noodle is going to be cut down to size for your boot and put into your boot, and it's going to help it hold its shape when you move. So that way, when they're packing your stuff, they're not trying to flatten it. They're not trying to bend it and crush it type of deal. It is going to hold its shape during your move. So pool noodles are everywhere right now. If you're not moving, but you have boots, go get them. Little tiny booties, they also get a pool noodle cut down to size, and they get put in so they hold their shape as well. So go get yourself some pool noodles. That way, because the worst thing, I mean, you can claim boot shaping fees if you need to from them getting crushed. It's a pain. the best thing to do, get you some pool noodles and let them hold their shape while you move. And it will also show your movers, like, you can't just throw my boot in, like, you have to stand it up, and you can pack the other shoes in their bags in there with them as well. So yeah.
You know, okay, first of all, I am on this webinar, people. I'm helping to host this webinar, right? And we're here to give information. And I'm not even joking when I say that I learn something new every day. Do you know how many pairs of boots are jacked? Because I did not know this. Where were you? Dang it.
Somewhere else. Not
you broke my brain is broken. Like, my brain is literally just about broken. I'm just saying. Okay, so definitely good. What else?
That's for your shoes. Now, let's talk hanging clothes. We all have a bunch of hanging clothes. We've got coats. My favorite thing to do, get you some of the large trash bags. Put them on like garment bags. So you're not going to pop a hole in it and pull it down, but you're going to put your clothes in it, pull it up, and tie it around the top at the hanger. So that's going to keep your clothes together and protected like a garment bag. But then should something fall off the hanger, it's going to fall into your trash bag and still be protected, and it's not going to be falling at like the bottom of a giant wardrobe box into the abyss that nobody can reach without crawling into it. So use a trash bag like a wardrobe bag. Some people, and I just had it, dryer sheets. You can toss a dryer sheet into the bags, so that way it helps your clothes stay fresh smelling. You can do that, or you can also get some Glade scented trash bags as well and use those around your clothes. I've done that too. And then another thing that one of my good friends does, she uses colored zip ties. So all of her winter clothes will get one colored zip tie. All of her summer clothes get another colored zip tie. All of her husband's like normal t-shirts get one color. All of his polos get one color. And she uses that as a way when they pull stuff out of the box, that she can organize her closet as to what needs to hang where, and then you've got an instant closet. You cut the zip tie, pull the trash bag off, and your closet is instantly put together.
And that's provided there on the hangers already, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Can I just say that everything that Megan is showing you, the totes and then the bound, all of that is being included in the grand prize today at the end. All of that is going to be in this massive PCS prep box. Okay. Yeah. It's bananas. And we definitely, I'm just going to throw this out there because I am shameless. We definitely want to see the pics of you using it, whomever the winner is, for your next PCS. Send us some photos because we would just love to see that. We like to see that in action. Yeah. Okay. Continue. Sorry.
The next thing, so folded clothes. Your folded clothes, your linens, your sheets, your towels, those types of deal. So here's my favorite product ever invented. Maybe one of them, Ziploc flex totes. So the jumbo size ones are perfect size for your folded clothes. These are kind of cube shaped. 2 of them will stack on top of each other in a medium-sized box that the moving company uses. But I like using them and putting my folded clothes in them, my undergarments into them, our sheets and towels and stuff into them, because 1, it keeps them protected. 2, I don't have a stranger's hands handling my clothing. And then, so per regulation, they can move your dressers full with stuff in them. If you are going Oconus, it is common practice because it utilizes the space of the crate to get as much stuff in there as possible. But I do not like the idea of my furniture being moved with stuff in it. I feel like it puts added strain onto the furniture, and it's not designed and built for that.
That's what I would think. I would think.
So pre-packing and putting your dresser clothes, your folded clothes into a flex tote means that your dresser is empty and they can't just keep it full and together like that. Also, again, all of this stuff, it makes it easier for unpacking. So when it comes to delivery and you're unpacking, you can cut open that cardboard box, pull out the flex totes, pop them in the corner, and get that box out of your way. A thing to note about I know a lot of folks will want to say, let me use the vacuum seal bags. I will tell you, a lot of moving companies do not like the vacuum seal bags because when you vacuum the air out of it, it takes an odd shape. and then it does not utilize the capacity of the box very well. And then they try to shove different things in there. And so when you unpack, you find your high heels are in there and your heel is piercing the plastic of your vacuum seal bag, and now nothing is together. The flex totes, they are cube shape, so they stack and they fit inside the box. Bonus tip, grab another dryer sheet and toss it inside your flex tote. It'll keep your clothes smelling good.
Okay, quick question.
Yes.
Oh, Anne-Marie, shout out. They told us that only linens could be in the dresser, and that kind of made me think too. So my question would be, does this particular aspect vary from moving company to moving company, or is there a regulation that we would be able to refer to one way or the other?
So it's in the DTR, Defense Travel Regulation. I'll get that link posted in the comments below when we get done. But no, dressers are allowed to be packed with the clothing or moved with the clothing still in them as well.
Good to go.
Yeah.
All right. That makes me okay. I get that. I'm better now. I'm better. Okay. Oh, and this is just a preview. So Anne-Marie, yes, if you come back to the PCS grades page, all of our videos, you will be able to see all of our past webinars right there on our page. You just go to the video section on PCS grades on the Facebook. Yes, I said the Facebook. And she said she has some friends that would benefit from this information. Yes, absolutely. Share this with them. And, as far as, talking to you now, like in the event that they have a question that needs to be answered, they can drop that in the comment section and Megan and I will make sure that it gets answered. You know what I mean? We have a huge Oconus following for a reason, and they're probably sleeping right now or just waking up and don't want to see nobody's face. So we go back at the 24-hour mark and we try to look at those, and any questions that are pertaining to that, we try to get to as well. So good question.
And really quick before you move on. So Marie, your next comment about wanting to see the DTR and knowing that. So if you are in our Facebook group, Lost During My PCS, the DTR, all of those regulations that you need to know are in the files of that group. So if you're not in there, go search on the Facebook after the webinar. Make a little note right now. Lost During My PCS. We'll get you added, approved in there today and everything. But all those regulations are in the files of that group, so that way you can easily get to them and reference them. You're muted.
Every time people over this.
Every week.
Every week. Shoot. Anyway, so girl Stacy Benson on the back end, our community outreach manager, she's gonna go drop that link, whether it's in a few minutes or in a little bit after this webinar. She'll drop the link to access the piece, Lost During My PCS, or you could, just
you
search.
already did.
Oh, see? Bam.
Thanks, Stacy.
Thank you, Stacy. You're on it. She had her coffee today in copious amounts, apparently. All right. All right. Okay, really quick. A big struggle that a lot of us have is when it comes to our kids' toys. You heard me mention those stupid Barbie shoes that I stepped on in my 22-year-old's room, by the way. How do you pre-pack that kind of stuff?
So let's start first with stuffed animals, because my daughter has a load of stuffed animals. We have a ton. They seem to multiply, and for whatever reason, I can't seem to purge enough of them every year. So the thing that I do is, again, those trash bags. Put your stuffed animals into trash bags. It'll keep them nice together and clean. Again, drop a dryer sheet in there. Keep them smelling fresh. You can even toss in a few silica packets if you wanted to. But putting the animals into trash bags, it keeps them together. It keeps them clean. So that way, then when you, again, open that box, if you don't have a spot for the stuffed animals yet, instead of just dumping them into a floor and having to move them a million times, you've got them in a trash bag that you can easily pick up and move around the room as you are setting up the room and figuring out where things need to go. So use trash bags for stuffed animals. For the little tiny toys, again, Ziploc bags. Depending on what you have, depends on the size of bag that you need. So Barbie accessories, little Hatchimals, those little things that are hot now, can go into, either sandwich size, quart size bags. Legos, please put them into a bag, because that is the worst thing in the world trying to unpack, is when you hear like the Legos just come whooshing out of paper or out of their box or whatever it is. Put them into a bag. If you've got bigger toys, they make these, and this is in the box that somebody's getting today too. But they make these jumbo big bags that kind of stand up. But like any bigger toys, like you have part of a Barbie dream house, you've got some Barbie cars or remote control cars or whatever it may be. These bigger bags are great for that, to be able to put those items into. Again, you're staging your home for the packers, and you're also making it easier for the unpacking. So when the packers come in, you don't have to worry about them being at your house at 10 o'clock at night, because they're putting some paper in the box, they're putting your bags into the box, and they're adding some more paper and sealing it up and calling it good. When it comes time to unpacking, you're opening the box, you're pulling your bags out, setting them to the side, and letting them take that cardboard box out of there. So it's just less paper you have to try to recycle, less boxes you have to try to give away to somebody. So the whole idea behind it is you're prepping for the packers, but you're also going to be making it easier on the unpack.
Word. And we did have a quick question from TG, and I see Krista Curtis in there also answered. We did have a tax professional, but on about 3 or 4 episodes ago. Are all packing materials like Ziploc totes, etc., are they tax deductible?
So yes and no. It depends. It kind of depends. So they can be used. So if you are doing like a PPM, or a partial PPM, you can use it to help reduce the amount of tax that your partial PPM incentive pay is, type of deal. So that way you can kind of make a little bit more. It reduces the taxable amounts that you get. As far as filing it on your taxes, it gets be in that gray area as to what is a reasonable kind of deal, because if it's something that can be reused like a plastic tote, they are not. But if it's a cardboard box, then it is. So you could probably justify Ziploc bags being a one-time use kind of deal. So that's one of those things that, again, you need to talk with your tax professional about. But generally, your expenses that you have, save your receipts, that what the military doesn't pay, you can claim. It's got to be within that reasonable frame that Chrissy talked with us about a couple weeks ago when we had the tax professional on. So definitely go back, check out that video, because I believe she answers this in there in a lot better way than I probably just did for you.
And that was the March 3rd episode. Whenever we're done here, wait till go ahead and head over to the PCS grades page and check it out. Before we move on to the next question, I feel like this is really important. Maggie, shout out Maggie. Going Oconus, should we prep differently when it comes to unaccompanied baggage or household goods?
So if you're talking about prep differently for your things, I would still do the same way. If you're talking about trying to prep differently to separate your shipments as to what is going in unaccompanied baggage versus what is going in household goods. As far as pre-packing, do the same thing. As far as trying to identify what goes into each shipment, last week, Lindsay had a great idea. Technique that worked for her family is that they used colored tape. So like the unaccompanied baggage shipment, they got one color tape, say, neon green, and then like the household goods baggage got, pink, and the non-temp storage shipment got yellow. They went around their house and they put the colored tape on the furniture for what shipment it was going into. And then in each room on a piece of paper, they had the colored piece of tape and what shipment it corresponded to. I hope that answers your question, Meg. If it doesn't, if you want to give any clarification, I'd be happy to try to answer it better for you.
And again, we come back on the back end. We're going to check out. We're going to get with you if you have any questions that we need to take for action that we may not know. We play a game here called Let's Try and Stump Megan. It doesn't usually work in our favor. One time out of 50 episodes, one time, and it was only for like a minute. So yeah. So anything, we're happy to take things for action and get back to you with an answer. All right. So here we go. Let's talk about the garage. Okay. Let's talk about the garage for a second.
Of course.
We've got tons of different stuff, you know, like how are you going to pre-pack that? Because there's stuff you can't take. There's stuff that needs to go a certain way. What do we do with the garage?
So first thing I'm going to tell you is to purge your garage. The garages are a great place where we just kind of put stuff when we don't know where it needs to go. And it's just like, you know, let me just set it in here on this shelf. I'll take care of it later. And then here you are PCSing and you've never taken care of it. So take the time to clean your garage. If you're tight on time and you want to purge, but you're not sure where to start, focus on your kitchen, your garage, your kids' toys, and your closet/linens. If you do nothing else, do those places, because that's where most things kind of accumulate to. We don't know where to put something, we shove it into a closet. We go drop it in the garage. We all have a corner of the house or someplace that becomes like the catch-all of random things. So clean those places. I'm going to tell you first, go through, clean, purge your garage. The second thing I want to tell you is try to divide your garage into sections. Categories is probably the better term. So like your toys, you have a bunch of balls, basketballs, footballs, soccer balls, or whatever. Again, these Ziploc bags, these jumbo ones, is great for that. We've got extension cords, we've got light cords, we've got garages are another place where cords like to gather. So if you've got that tote of cords and you didn't use it at this location, again, Megan said to go ahead and toss it, tell your spouse it's approved. You got, you know, extension cords, again, use zip ties or probably zip ties for your extension cords. Wrap them up good, keep them together. You can, again, put all your cords into a Ziploc bag as well. Your tools, a lot of our spouses probably have these small little like wrench set, ratchet set, drill bit set. There's so many sets. Then we got like 12 different screwdrivers. They all look the same, but they're different lengths so that you use them for different things. I don't know. But there's a lot of tools, okay? We have a lot of tools. My favorite thing to do is to spend the money to get those hard, tough boxes. So these are like the boxes that our spouses will use when they go on deployment. Sometimes they're black, they're big black boxes. Sometimes they're green. Sometimes they've got wheels and a handle. Sometimes they don't. But those big, tough boxes are a perfect place where you can consolidate all of those little tool sets down to, so that way, one, they are all together. They're in a container that can handle the weight of them. So they're not going to break like a Rubbermaid tote. They're not going to fall out of the bottom of a cardboard box. You're not going to have a cardboard box that's too heavy to carry. The bonus point is that these giant tough boxes, you can put a lock on it. So that way it's secured when it's being moved, which I love that kind of peace of mind. So we have a lot of tough boxes, but using those tough boxes to consolidate your tools kind of help make that easy when it comes time to packing as well.
Gotcha. And just a really quick, we have a couple of questions here. One of them was from Gina. Shout out, Gina. If you have metal shelving, do you recommend taking it apart yourself or letting them do it?
So I'm a big fan of letting them take things apart, because if they take it apart, they have to put it back together. So for me, I let them take apart everything. So that way they can put it back together for me. If there's any pieces to it, I'm usually there again with a Ziploc bag and a Sharpie writing on the bag what the part goes to, and then putting all the pieces in there and putting it in the parts box. But I like letting them take things apart, because then I don't have to do it, and I know they'll put it back together for me.
There you go. And then this one, I think, and this is for everybody, whether this is your first, fourth, fifth, or very last PCS. This is a question, and we're going to provide the answer that everybody needs to know. So Talia, shout out Talia. For those transitioning out of the military, how will that last PCS move be different, or is it the same process? And I just need to reiterate that every single one of us is going to transition out of the military community at some point. I mean, that doesn't mean you can't be involved. My husband can retire all he wants. I'm going nowhere. Okay. But in this scenario, it's very important that all of you know this so that you can prepare ahead of time. Megan, go.
So it's important to differentiate between separating versus retiring, because they are a little bit different. So as far as like setting up your move and the physical process of moving, it is the same. The things that make it a little different. So if you're separating, like you did less than 20 years, and you're just separating out, time to move on to something else, they are only going to move you the distance to your home of record. So say you're in Texas and your home of record is Oklahoma, but you want to move to California. And the distance between where you are in Texas and Oklahoma is 500 miles. They're only going to pay to move you 500 miles. So if where you're going is 800 miles, they will move you there, but you will be responsible for paying for that extra 300 miles. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And all this information you'll get when you go through that transitioning process, those classes that your spouse will have to take, those different briefs, all this information will be in there. Now, if you're retiring, you did your 20 plus years in the service, you can generally go anywhere CONUS type of deal. Also for separating, I think there are a few entitlements that you do not get, like your DLA. I believe you don't get.
Yeah, DLA, and that's for retirement or general separation from service. And the DLA,
dislocation allowance.
Thank you. I need more coffee. The dislocation allowance is, a lot of people are like, oh, that's okay, I don't need it, blah, 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 blah. I relied heavily on that. Mm-hmm. And actually one of the reasons that when my husband transitioned out of military service, just not that long ago, we chose to stay where we were at because I just didn't want that added expense. Not when we were trying to figure out what was happening with, disability and these benefits and, all of the different things that come with transition from military service. I want every one of you to know, if, people ask, when should we start thinking about this? Now. Yeah. About 5 minutes ago. It is never too early to start looking at what happens in life after military service. Have those conversations now, start them now, whether they're going to do 5 more or 25 more. It doesn't matter. Have the conversations now.
Yeah.
Off my box now. All right. All right. Last question, because we're getting ready to run out of time and I really want to get you guys these prizes. Last thing is about labeling boxes specifically. So many talk about those contact stamps and labels. Do you suggest those, and how would you actually utilize them, like practically?
So yes, I'm a big fan of labeling your boxes. So when your packers pack your stuff, they should be putting your last name on the box. They should, I think most of them are now putting your GBL number, your government bill of lading number on the box, and they should be putting the room on the box and the contents on the box. So it should say like master bedroom, my 20 pairs of shoes and boots, and there's more than that. All that good stuff on your box, general contents description. What I like to do is, this is my contact stamp. It has our name, our phone numbers, and my email on it. I go through and I stamp this on every box. So the best thing to do is the one side of the box where it has your name and all that information on is where you should put this, because it's an easy to find spot. So I use a stamp. I put it on there so that way a box gets pushed somewhere, doesn't show up. They're able to find out who it belongs to. So I've got a stamp. Now that you have that stamp, I highly suggest getting one of these two for the other end. When you arrive at your location and you have all these boxes and you're going to get rid of them, you're going to go let somebody come and take them up. You're going to take them to the recycling center. This is called a identity protection roller stamp. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it basically, I'm just going to go over something really quick so you can see this. Basically, it's going to cover up your contact information so that way nobody can see what your contact information is. So that way it kind of sanitizes the box of your information. So when you give it away, if for some reason, they use it and their box gets lost or something, people aren't calling you and making you think you have a box of some sort. So get yourself one of these identity protection stamps. The next thing I put on our boxes are room labels. So these, somebody is getting this box in the giant box of goodies today. So these are room labels. I don't know if you guys can see very well. I've got my old bag of them, but like there's labels for bedroom number 2. There's labels for the study, kitchen, bathrooms, all that good stuff. So somebody's going to get a full set of these room labels. So I put these on each box for the room that they're in. And then at our new house, at our new location, I put signs on the door. So on the door are these signs. So it's got the room label that corresponds that I put onto the boxes. So that way my packers or my delivery crew can just match color coded labels. And then I have what the boxes should be labeled at. So for my daughter's room, they're labeled as girls' room. And then I have a list of like the furniture that should go in that room. So the white twin bed, the white dresser, the pink chair, pink table, the white nightstand that has a matching dresser. So that way, as furniture is coming in, if I'm not there to direct traffic because I'm checking off inventory numbers, they can easily take a look at the door for that room and see what boxes are supposed to go in there and what furniture is supposed to be in there as well. You're muted again.
I am muted because let me tell you, people. Let me tell you how awesome you are. I'm in here trying to add everybody's names into the wheel of names so that we can get kicking off. We broke the wheel. I broke the wheel because there are so many doggone names. Oh, wait. I'm going to fix it right now. But while we do that, really quick, if you've been watching, whether you've been watching for a while, whether you just started watching, whether this is the first time, tell us now what have we been able to help you with? What is the one takeaway? Have you shared this? If you're like me, wow, where was this last move 3 moves ago, 20 years ago, whatever. I'm not gonna lie. My daughter is about to become a military spouse. Guess what? She's going to get a crash course in these webinars because I'm not playing around. I learn something every time. I want to know what you've learned and what you've gotten out of it. Here's a great way. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually split this list because it is so unbelievably wow.
Why MJ's figuring that out. The last thing I want to add that I didn't just say, carry a Sharpie with you, especially during pack out. Because as you go through and you put these labels on your boxes, you put your contact info on your box, there might be you might find your last name misspelled. It's happened to me multiple times. You might have a box that just says, kitchen gadgets, and you want to be able to write on there that it's your crust cutter and your pastry roller or whatever it may be. So having a Sharpie on hand definitely helps you when you need to make those last minute notes type of deal. The second thing I want to say is have a notebook with you, especially at delivery. When you have to make notes, something showed up and you got some damage you need to note, you need to make a running list of what the issues are, or anything. Having a notebook with you nearby where you can be able to easily jot those things down and you're not trying to snap multiple pictures in your phone and say, I'll remember it later. It's better just to have a notebook and a pen and you can write those things down.
Okay. All right. So everyone, it's going to look funny, but trust me, it does say that all of the names are in there. We're just not going to see the whole thing, but you will see what we're talking about. So I'm sharing my screen now. We're going to start first with the $50 commissary gift card. Sharing screen, share screen. Share entire screen. Allow. There we go. Here is the wheel of names, people. Do you see this? There were enough spaces. This is bananas. BANANAS. Here we go. For the $50 commissary card.
I can't even read that.
I can't. Severa!
Yay! Congratulations.
Congratulations. Severa, do me a favor. Go to the PCS grades page and message us your email address so we can get in contact with you to get you your $50 commissary gift card.
Yeah.
Next up is going to be for the $50 Amazon gift card. Holy bananas.
Like that could just give me a headache just watching that, y'all. So many.
$50 Amazon card goes to Sarah Rod. Shout out, Sarah.
Congratulations.
All right. And I have your information, Sarah. Sarah has been a previous winner before, and she is an avid watcher. Okay, next up is actually going to be for, it's the totes, right? The three?
Yeah, so we've got, so one person is going to get a box of, I don't know where my camera is anymore. It's going to get a box of 3 of the Ziploc Jumbo Flex totes.
Okay. So the set of 3 jumbo, what the totes? Blah. Sorry, it's like totally my brain. Paulette Fryer, shout out.
Congrats, Paulette.
All right. And then we've got One Piece of Hope Design jewelry, some little bling for your life, a This Too Shall PCS necklace, and that is going to go to Gina. Shout out, Gina. Message us over at the PCS Grades Facebook page. Message us your email address so we can get in contact with you to get that to you. Congratulations. All right, y'all. This is for the big PCS Prep box, the mother of all things. Here we go. No whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Drum roll, please.
I wish I had a box to give everybody.
I know, right? Holy bananas, Marla Batista. Yes, ma'am. Congratulations.
Marla.
Congratulations, Marla. And definitely we'll be getting with you to get your address so we can send you off this awesome thing. And one of the things, again, I'm just going to put this out here. When you are using these things on your next PCS, take a few pictures, send it to us on social or tag us or whatever, because everybody needs to know and make this so that this makes everybody's life easier.
Yes.
So I just want to say before we head out, number 1, thank all of you for coming. Number 2, come and visit us again next week and every Wednesday. We are so excited. This is our 50th episode. This is 1 year since we've been doing it. We've learned a lot. We've learned a lot from you. We're so happy that you've let us do this. And until next time.
Wait, pause. So next week, so y'all are aware, we are having the moving industry on with us. We're having 2 folks from the International Association of Movers are going to be on with us next week to kind of talk about what some expectations are for the upcoming season is, what the moving industry learned through this COVID timeframe from last year, and issues from the stop movement orders last year. So if you're moving this summer, definitely come back next week because we're going to have the moving industry on with us to talk about what's happening and what you need to know for what's coming up.
And you get to ask them questions. So we'll be ready because these guys like to bring the shenanigans too. But until next week, Megan.
This too shall PCS.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.